Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today we're going to masech this Gittin daf Ayin Beis. We're going to begin on Ayin Beis Amud Aleph, about 15 lines from the top, with the new Mishnah. Says the Masnisa. If the man says Zegitech im mati, which is an unusual language, talking about I'm going to say this is a valid get im mati with regard to my death, which almost sounds like after death. Zegitech michayli zeh. This will be a get from my sickness. Zegitech lachar misa. This will be a get after I die. Lomer klum. Says Rashi. The mashma'os of this language of this man is likisha almost. When I die, the get will be chal. Then get lachar misa. We know that doesn't work, because there's no such thing as a get after misa. Also, if you say Zegitech Mechoyli Zeh, which is mashma from this illness and on, once he died in the midst of this illness, Nimsa Shen get Chal Alach Misa. So this get actually never took place because he only stopped being sick, not because he's healthy, but because he died, and therefore again in get Alach Misa. Now, in a situation of Yomi imati, again, he says imati, but he also throws in the word mihayoim, miachshav, from now imati, how does they get? What's the difference? So Rashi says that misafkalon, even though it says that it's a get, it's actually something which are not so, that's going to be the next girsa. So if you say just hayoim, or me'achshav, so we're assuming that means it's chal right now, and therefore it's a get because you're alive. However, if you say mehayoim, which is mashma now, uyachar misa, which of course is after death, that's a problem. Get ve'eno get. Why? Says Rashi misafklan. Here it's a doubt. Itanoi havi. Are you making some type of a condition? You're saying mehayoim, the get will be chal right now. Im almost, if I die. When he dies, the Tanai was niskayim. The Nimsa should get mishas nisinasai. Therefore, it was actually a good get. Oh, chazor havi shechazor boy. Maybe he just retracted. Namely, he initially said miachshav. I want the get to be chal right away, and then he changed his mind to leachamisa. Maybe his whole intention was leachamisa, and therefore the problem is, as again, in geachamisa. So in this situation, we have a suffix. Mehayoim le'achamisa get ve'enu get ve'imes. So therefore, if he dies, if he dies and they're childless, we don't want them to do yibum because maybe it was actually a get and therefore she's not zokuk. But we don't want her to just leave because what if in fact it wasn't a get and therefore she is zokuk to this brother and therefore we require at least chalitza. Then the Mishnah says Zegitech mehayoim. It says, this is my get, this is your get, mihayoim from today, imati mecholizeh, if I die from this sickness. The Alman, he stands up, v'holach b'shok, he walks out, v'chola umeis, and almost then he gets sick and dies. So I'm going to make an assessment. Imach maschayla rishon meis, if the reason why he died was based on his original illness, or as I get, the Imlav enu get. So that we'll see that piece of the Mishnah at greater length in tomorrow's daf. Says the Gemara. So Alma, what do we see? The im mati, when you use this language of the race of the Mishnah of zegitich im mati, that's mashma kliyachar misa dami. It's mashma like you're saying after death, and therefore it's not chal. L'haner tani, but then afterwards the Mishnah says mehayoim imati, miachshav imati, and we say it's a get. Alma imati lam kliyachar misa dami. Right? It should actually be a suffix, because if in fact one language is now, right, and the other one is imati, that's mashma after death, so it shouldn't be any different, which is why I was originally confused, of the later part of the case of miyom achamisa. So but we say for some reason imati in the sefer that it's okay. So Amar by imati shtel sheves mashma. The truth is, when you say the language of imati, it can mean one of two things. Mashma K'me'achshav, mashma now, or mashma ko'achamis, can be mashma afterwards. So Amalei mehayoim. So if he said also mehayoim, Kamandi Armula Miachshav Dami. So therefore, when you understand now what he meant when he said imati, meant now. Lo amar lo hayoim. If he didn't say hayoim, so it's like he said lachamisa. So the word hayoim explains which definition of imati applies, namely it's chal from now and not lachamisa. Okay. Zegitech imati lo amar klo. So again, this is the beginning of our Mishnah. So Rav Huna v'chayletzes. Even though we say that this is not an acceptable language because ain't get lachamisa, it's not that it's not a get at all, and therefore, if her husband dies, that she definitely does yibum. No, we say that chalitza must be done. We said that it's nothing. So if it's nothing, so then why are you saying that there's a possibility of chalitza? Lomer klum di asira wa alma. It's nothing as far as her being usher to the world. V'liyavam nami asira. To the yavam, she's also usher. Now, the Mishnah mentions that if you say mehayom lachamisa, it says that's when you do chalitza. It says beferish chayletzes lo misyavemes. So it must be the ratio when it says it's not a get. It means it's not a get at all, and therefore she should still be able to do yibum. So masnisin k'rabbanim. We said the Mishnah is like the rabbanim. What is that? So Rashi quotes that he's chaylik in parak yesh noichan baba basra. The hadat in the case of konachasel livnoi. The person writes all his possessions to his son. Sarach sheyichtayv, he needs to write mihayom lachamisa. The ilov, he doesn't write that havili matan lachamisa. It's like a gift after misa. V'achinami get lachamisa who? Okay, so the reisha is not a get at all according to the Rabbanim, and lomer klum means it is not a get at all, and therefore you should then be able to do yibum. Rav Huna diarmek Rav Yosi diarmek zmanashel shtar machiach alav. According to Rav Yosi, he says you look at the time of the star. Says Rashi, the imo lo nasan loy hagov me'achshav lo menethav zeh b'shtar hamatana. So mi Rav Yosi chalitza namu lo tiboy. According to Rav Yosi, it should be a valid get because you can just look at the actual date of the document, and that's when it wanted to be chal. So then, in that case, she should definitely be divorced. If she's divorced, because it's a real get, then when her ex-husband dies, she shouldn't have to do anything, not even chalitza. V'chitim v'masachli Rav Huna, he's unsure. Ihil chazak Rav Yosi, enol Rav Yosi, mi masachli, is he really in doubt? V'harabah b'ravua, chol, she was sick. Ul gabe Rav Huna Rav Nachman, they went to visit him. Amali Rav Huna Rav Nachman, boy mine v'rabah b'ravua, halach Rav Yosi oin halacha. So I want to know, what is the halacha like? Is it like him or not? Do we hold like Rav Yosi, who holds man shel shtar machiach alav? Amalei time Rav Yosi yadana. The reason I don't know, halachi boy mine. You're asking me what the halacha is. Amalei ad boy mine halacha. You ask the halacha of a time of Rav Yosi. Ana minalach boy mine. Amalei hachi amarav. Halacha Rav Yosi. Halacha is in fact like Rav Yosi. Ubasa denafik after you left. Amalei hainu time Rav Yosi except his man shel shtar machiach alav. So, right, he quotes this. So clearly, Rav Huna holds like Rav Yosi. So again, why didn't he do chalitza at all? El masafkale. The reason why he would require chalitza is because obviously he holds there's some doubt over here, and therefore you at least have to cover your basis by at least doing the chalitza as we continue to ayin base amid base. So I oimer Rav Yosi bal pet. Eloi oimar, says Rashi, Kigoyin gabi get, shekasov gehilchaso. You have a get was written properly. However, ukimaisroi lo was given over to her. Omer, you said, quote, zegitech imati. Hilkach, lo dalmi l'shtar. It's not the same thing as a regular document. Shkivan shiksav hatanai etzel hazman b'shtar, because since the writing of the conditions of the time is embedded in the star, ikol mirmid is man mochiach, it must be referring to today. when he just said this verbal declaration, Dilma ki masri nihile hadar bay, maybe he changed his mind, mizman, the shtari. Even though there is a time in the shtar, but maybe he retracted. Umasri nihile al manas lachamisa. He only wanted to give it after misa. Okay. So iyom Rabbi Yossi bal peh ilo yomer. Umi masakle v'nan har is a gitech im lobasi mekan v'ad yud beis chaydish. I'm going to come within 12 months. Umeis masach yud beis chaydish, you die, inu get. But Tani Rabbi Rabbeinu hetiru halinasi, she get remarried. V'yamri then man Rabbi Rabbeinu, who is this? Or maybe Huda Shmuel, beidina deshar mishcha. The beis din that mattered oil, says Rashi. Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya Shehiter Shamnim Shalev Kachavim brought them to Zebul Zara that they mattered this oil, so that this basin was known for that. So they're called the basin the Shar Mishcha. The Savrilak Rabbi Yosi the Amr Zman Shal Shtar Mochiach Halav. It is a valid get, although there is a regular get, and said the statement Balpeh El Masaf Goe I Halacha Rabbi Yosi Balpeh O Ein Halacha. Is he really in doubt? Rabba harzegidech imati, or he says v'shani meis harzeget. Now kish almost he says when I die, or he says li achar misa en zeget, because that's certainly achar misa and get achar misa. Hechidam ileim adirmala mahayoim. When he said the words imati, he also said mahayoim rabbanon. So tzrichel neimar. He didn't say it. Because we look at the Zman of the star. So Rav Pshitale, Rav Huna Masafkale. So there's no chalitza, again, is required. He also said, when he said imati, he also said mahayoim. Rabbanan Vahani lishni itzrichale, and we needed to mention this case, namely shani meis ki'im mati dami. Shani meis is the same thing as imati. Kish almost koyachamisa dami. The ikanamasni law seifa. Okay, let's slow down for 1 second. Let's look at question 5. Zegitech imati madin leidin yibom umastadam zeh. So, according to Rava, how does they get kosher? Therefore, you don't need to do anything, because it was definitely from before. Rav Huna says you do need to chalitza. So Rava pashit the halachas like Rabbi Yosi zman shel shtar b'chiach halach. And then we just look at the time of the star, and even the time of the star, he was alive. However, and so that's what you look at. You have feel about peh. Even if it was just an oral declaration. Rav Huna Masafka. Rav Huna was unsure. Okay. So, the Ikon Amasala Seifa. When it says in the Mishnah, Zegitech le'achar misa, lo merkol, that's nothing. So when it says, this is your get, le'achar misa, Rav Huna, u'adivri Rav Yosi chaletzas. According to Rav Yosi, you at least have to do chalitz over here. So Pshita. But the Seifa, Rabbanan chaletzas, Reishanami, Rav Yosi chaletzas. You must be talking about the same thing about chalitza. When regarding his opinion is Karevi Sirole. What does he say? Karevi Sirole. The Amr Gita Malia Havi, that it's a good get. But chalitza nami lo tiboy. You don't even need the chalitza. Kamashmon Deloy Rabbi Savar lo Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Savar lo Karevi. So Rabbi will say Rabbi Yosi, he doesn't hold of this Zman Shtar Mochiach Halav. How do we see this? Tani. Kizeh get Lemuti Rabbi Yosi. Comes to exclude Rabbi Yosi. Okay. And here he didn't say Hayoim. Rabbi Yosi will say Rabbi Tani. Kizeh get Lemuti the Rabbi. Rabbi Mai, what's the excluding? The Sanya. Mehayom Achamisa get Venu get. Divrei Chacham Rabbi. Oimer Kizeh get. Because we're going to assume that he was going basar the Tanai, and therefore, because of that, it's a get. Rav Yosi Mahi, what's Rav Yosi? The Tanan, Kisvu Tanu Gel Ishti, you write a get for your wife, Imo Bati Mekan Me'ad Yud Beis Chaydish, Kasvu B'tach Yud Beis Chaydish, V'nastu Lach Yud Beis Chaydish. It was given after the 12 months that he was entitled to have, and a get. Rav Yosi Amr Kizeh get. He says no, it's still considered to be a get because you look at the zman written on the get. Actually, we're going to stop here. Let's see question 6. So ma din uma hatam. If you say harze gitech la'achamisa, so according to the Rabbanan, it's not a get at all. They ain't get la'achamisa. Rabbi Yosi says chalitza. Kivan desiro is man shel shtar machiachol. If you look at the document, havile kimahayoyim la'achamisa the mesafle ichazarhu otanai. So again, according to one opinion, is it's nothing. According to the Shita of Rabbi Yosi, though, it's shaykh that it could be a get, and therefore, because of that, he considers it to be, again, a din suffix regarding this get. All right, let's maybe see another question here. Let's see, we already did TB 11. TA 11. Ha'omer ze gitech mehayoim im mati ze v'nitak mechoyli l'choyli. And he goes from one stickness to the next. We'll see that in tomorrow's daf. Ad kan.